we live? All right, welcome back, everybody. It's another Cradle Studios tutorial. Again, I'm Chris Cutta, Cutta Classic. Today I want to show you why I like to mix into a limiter, because it helps me identify what the record is going to sound like once it goes to mastering. I used to notice when I would mix records before and I would try to add the limiter after I'm done with the mix, I would notice I would have to go back and tweak my mixes a little bit because some of the transients would be taken away, and I would always have to go back and do some tweaking. So now I've learned to mix into a limiter. Shout out to Jason Joshua and Dave Pensato. This is a technique that I learned from them. I've noticed it gets me to my destination faster. And especially nowadays, a lot of clients, they want to know what the record's gonna sound like when you're sending them mix checks. If you send them a record mix and it's super low, because after all the gain staging I've done, and you send them a mix that's super low and not loud enough, they gotta crank it and they'll call you back and tell you, hey, the mix, it sounds good, but it's just too low. So I learned that mixing into a limiter kind of eliminates that problem from happening. And I'm gonna show you two different ways to do it. I'll be featuring the God particle, and then I'll show you how to do it with just a regular L2. And so, because I'm pretty sure a lot of engineers and producers have the L2, but I like using the God particle because it's a plug-in built by, I believe it's Cradle and Jason Joshua, and whatever algorithm they use for this plug-in, it's just really good. I love it. It's one of my new choices of weapon in my mixes. So let's get right into it. All right, so first I'm gonna pull up the God particle, which is this thing right here, man. It just looks great. So check this out. As you can see, I already got the limiter engaged. I'm gonna disengage the limiter and you'll see that the mix is coming in pretty low.
Clean hands, dirty gloves, what it is and what it was. All business, no love, never what it did, always what it does.
So as you can see, I got really solid levels. Got plenty of headroom for mastering. So now the mix is there, it sounds good, the transients is there. Now I'm gonna engage the limiter and you'll see that none of the mix goes away. I still keep my transients, I still keep my dynamics, everything is still there, it's just a little louder and it's more in your face.
Clean hands, dirty gloves, what it is and what it was. All business, no love, never what it did, always what it does. I'm the chosen one, I don't never run, I don't never talk, I just get it done. Clean hands.
So as you can see, nothing went away. Now the reason why that is because when I mixed the record, I left the limiter on, engaged. That way I know exactly how all my drums is gonna hit, where my vocals are gonna be at, how much room I have, spacing wise, how wide the mix is. Everything's already engaged, so I got a pretty good idea on how it's gonna feel when it's mastered. Now that's using the God particle. Now you can do the same thing if you just had a L2. Let's bypass that. So let's take a listen to it with the L2 without it.
Clean hands, dirty gloves, what it is and what it was. All business, no love, never what it did, always what it does. I'm the chosen one.
I'm gonna engage it.
I don't never talk, I just get it done. Clean hands, dirty gloves, what it is and what it was. All business, no love, never what it did, always what it does.
It's relatively the same thing. The mix doesn't disappear. It's just mixing into the limiter, you're gonna know exactly what it's gonna sound like. Now, I don't feel like I have to go back under the hood and making any kind of tweaks or adjustments at the point I'm at to now with this mix. So again, the reason why I like to mix into a limiter is because I get a pretty good idea what it's gonna sound like after mastering. And then, especially when I'm sending references and mix checks to my clients, it's loud for them. They get a pretty good idea on what it's gonna sound like. I'm not sending them a mix that's too low that they gotta keep cranking up the volume just when they're switching songs from other songs that's mastered when they're trying to compare it. So that's why I like mixing into a limiter. Thanks for tuning in to another Cradle Studios tutorial. If you wanna see more tutorials and get more examples about how my workflow is and learn some mix techniques from me, and you can apply it to your own workflow, be sure to subscribe to Cradle Studios YouTube page.